Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
I'm still trying to think of how to segue my sermon from Chuck's song. If you have your Bibles with you, I chose a verse out of the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, verse 1. I think all of you are pretty familiar with this particular verse. It's about faith. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. When I was thinking about, because I haven't been up here for a long time, when I was thinking about what to talk about this morning, I think whenever I choose a topic for a sermon, I always believe that it's really more of a lesson for me than it is for all of you. It's something that I think that God says to me, okay, Tony, it's your turn to do the sermon. I've got something I want you to research. This is the topic. This is the focus. So that's what I came up with today. And I wanted to speak about faith this morning because it's really so much a part of our daily life. I asked myself the question, what is true faith? Am I a person of faith? When I look at myself, am I a person of faith? And what is it that actually gives me faith? What's my motivation to have faith? And we often lose sight of what faith means to us. It's often a word that we use so much that it begins to sometimes lose its meaning. We hear faith so often in our church and in leading a religious life. And Father made a remark once, though, that he said faith was one of the three most important virtues, spiritual virtues of our lives. And he said, this is the time when each one of us can set his or her faith compass to God. Accept faith as the essential part of your character. If we go in the dictionary, we can see that faith has a similar meaning to the verse in Hebrews. It says, the complete, unquestioning acceptance of something, even in the absence of proof. So the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And really, if we take a closer look at this definition, it seems that faith is something that's really beyond logic. It's beyond reason. It's more in the realm of intuition, feeling. And a person that says they have faith in something, they may have a logical reason for it, for their beliefs, but whatever actions they take based on that belief, it's usually done with this intuitive understanding that something good or desirable is going to result from my faith. They're kind of internally expecting that the evidence of things unseen is going to become clearer in the future. We hear many people say, I believe in Jesus. I believe. And no matter how convicted that person might be, or no matter how shallow that person might be, they always have this intuitive sense that if I believe this, something good is going to come out of it. So in the Bible, we have many examples of faith, of course. At the time of Jesus, if we look in the book of Matthew, there are many examples. I wanted to cite a few of those. In Matthew chapter 9, you remember the woman that was suffering from a hemorrhage for 12 years. And she came out of the crowd, and she thought to herself, if only I can touch the hem of his garment, I'll be healed. She had this idea in her mind. And Jesus felt her energy behind him, and he said, your faith, daughter, your courage and your faith has made you well. And so the woman was made well. And there was also in chapter 15 another incident where a Canaanite woman came up to Jesus. And she was yelling She was yelling in the crowd. She was trying to implore Jesus to heal her daughter who was possessed of a demon, she said. And the disciples were very annoyed, and they kept telling her, Jesus, send her away. You know, she's distracting us. She's shouting at us. And Jesus made a comment and said, I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He was telling his disciples. But she kept insisting. She came and bowed down before him and said, Lord, help me. And this is very interesting what he says to her, because I believe there's a reason for this. He says, it's not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs. Can you imagine that? I feel that in that moment, he was really asking her to surrender everything, even her own pride and dignity. She said, and then get this, she says, yes, Lord, but even the dogs feed on the crumbs which fall from their master's table. You know, such humility and such, openness. She wanted so much. She had this idea that Jesus could absolutely heal her daughter. And Jesus said to her, O woman, your faith is great. It shall be done for you as you wish. And her daughter was, of course, healed. So using those definitions, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, what are some examples in our own life, just in our everyday life, of how we use faith? What about in our marriage? How many people are married? In your marriage, you took vows, right? In the secular world, it says, we will love each other until death do us part. But in the unificationist marriage, we're talking about forever, eternity. Do you have the faith to love your spouse for eternity? You have a mind, you have an idea in your mind that you will do that. You will do that. And what about, let's take an example of fishing on the ocean. When you take the boat out, you're like a little cork floating in the water. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if your boat's going to sink. You don't know if the captain's going to fall over unconscious and you're going to have to bring the boat in yourself. You don't know what's going to happen. If you're in Alaska, if you fall out of your boat, you have 15 minutes to live. That's how cold the water is. Here you don't have to worry about the cold, but you might have to worry about sharks or something else. But you have faith that that boat is going to keep you afloat and it's going to come back in at the end of the day. When I was a boy, I used to really admire farmers. Paul's a farmer. I really admired that kind of lifestyle because they had such an incredible relationship with the land. Everything revolved around the relationship with nature. And you had to look for those signs. You had to look and see if it was going to rain or if it was going to be dry. And it took a lot of faith to believe that what I plant in the soil is actually going to grow and become something that can support my family. But they never knew what was going to happen. They never knew if there was going to be a drought, if there was going to be a flood, a tornado, any number of things. But they had the belief, the faith. What about when you're driving your car down the street? You're sitting in this little steel compartment on wheels, heading down the road at 60 miles an hour, and you believe that somehow that little car is going to take you from point A to point B. You don't know if you're going to have a flat tire. You don't know if you're going to get hit by a drunk driver. But you have faith that you're going to be able to do that. Anyway, these are just small examples. But we have faith that we're going to wake up in the morning. We have faith that tomorrow's going to come. The sun will come up tomorrow. We have faith in that. So you can see, even people that are not religious have faith. They live in faith.